So this is L. Ron Hubbard again. Just some things to know. There's likely a good reason why he was, well, several good reasons. Because really, him and the CIA, even though there's no evidence that he worked for the CIA, he was former Navy and he had an intelligence background there. I just think that he was likely, maybe there's no evidence, but he was under the table working for the CIA. Or he just, I think the Church of Scientology is likely just a church of the CIA. So some of his theories, because you see this is one of his events. This is all about Dianetics. This is no different than Tony Robinson or any other of these people, okay? See, I don't have patience for this shit. I know there's The Secret, there's the Law of Attraction, there's the power of positive thinking. And to me, it's like, no, see, God showed me the way. He showed me. And it took, with getting sober, it took absolute defeat and surrender. I mean, it was literally me putting my arms out saying, I can't, God, I can't. It's over. It's over. I surrender. And then he's like, good. This is the greatest day ever. Now the true work can begin that none of the fools on earth can do. They can't. But you get it. This was in the 40s. You got Tony Robinson now, or, Jack, or what's his name, Dispenza. They're all, it's. So I have no patience for it. I understand why people are all about, the power of positive thinking. I get it. That one I struggle. It's because I did try to do it for a while, but again, I've said, God reminds me, you're in the fallen world. Just remember that. Okay, so when it's not his kingdom and you're trying to build your little fanciness all over the fallen one's kingdom, then you're not even close to understanding God. You're just doing your own will. So, but it's all temporary in my opinion too. The transformation that God does for you, truly in the mind and heart, that nobody here on earth can do, only God can do, that's a real permanent, but it's an ongoing transformation. That's the true path of enlightenment, not all this craziness. But there's a reason he likely was interested in my grandfather, because my grandfather created the Mu rooms, the alloys, the kinetic that created the alloys that are able to create a Mu room with the sheets of metal that keep the magnetic field out. And given his crazy thinking, his electronic theories, Hubbard, he taught that the human mind was essentially an electronic computer. I hate it when people do this. I hate it. And that could be jammed by magnetic fields. No, God protects us from the magnetic field. Yes, there's a magnetic field all around us because we choose to live in the prince of this world's kingdom. Jesus he overcame him, but then man decided, oh no, we would rather operate on our own will, and somehow they just keep thinking, we're going to make the kingdom. Okay. Not realizing the path is the less traveled path, surrender. So he believed that implants, bad memories, or brainwashing were held in place by electrical charge. To him, a Mu room wasn't just a box, it was a spiritually clean space where he could unjam a person's brain. During the early years of MK Ultra, the CIA was generally terrified that the Soviets had discovered a way to use low-frequency magnetic waves to induce depression or sleep in American pilots. Because, you know what? Don't even worry about, as long as you are asking Jesus to protect you, they can't do any of this to you. It's that easy. See, when you get man trying to figure out how they're going to protect you, they make it more complicated. Do the Jesus road. It's always it's the road less traveled, but it's also the easier road in many ways. Because they were scared, they poured money into magnetic isolation research to see if shielding could prevent this mind control. But see, the CIA didn't do this, and they didn't do it through an outside contractor. They didn't do this till later. When they started their MK Ultra stuff, I think that was in the 50s maybe, they were using drugs like LSD and stuff to do it. So, but he would have been interested in it, again, because of this e-meter stuff, the Church of Scientology is nuts. Um, so L. Ron Hubbard could have also been interested in my grandfather because he wanted to know more about this patent he had with the government, with the moo rooms, and how it was keeping the magnetic, because he wanted to control minds too. He was just bringing it on the heels that I'm going to tell you how to control your mind when really I'm controlling. It's that game that's being played. And then, see, Scientology, and people have talked about this, they had what's known as the fair tactics game, where this is where they designed to find a weakness in a person to force them to help their organization. So that's the reason I said my grandfather was an alcoholic, but he had quit drinking. And so they told him, no, your mind can control it. Like, I would beat those people up. All of you Scientologists, all you Hollywood people at your Scientology bullshit. And he ended up dying like 5-6 years later. Yeah, but he had quit drinking. All because Scientology said you can control it. So that's an example of fair game tactics. They would use fair game tactics on high value targets, Scientology would. For any group trying to gain influence, Scientology's fair game tactics were designed to find a weakness in a person. The CIA's programs like Stargate and MK Ultra used they did use custom-built shield rooms to use. This was later, or they made their own type Faraday cages to have clean rooms, but this was for doing that astral projection kind of stuff. I don't know if people, remote viewing, I guess they call it. But that was later. That wasn't in the 50s. So, the CIA didn't rely on outside contractors. They did their own in-house lab construction when they started working with rooms that would keep the magnetic field out. But that's just some reasons why L. Ron Hubbard was, stalking my grandfather and my grandmother. So, and his idea was that the Earth's magnetic field is jamming. No, God protects you from it. In fact, maybe they didn't know this back then, but it's been determined from a medical standpoint that there's no verified evidence that the Earth's magnetic field has a direct effect on the human brain. It wouldn't. L. Ron Hubbard believed it could cause depression and stuff. And although I say the magnetic field is there because the Prince of the Air keeps it there, it's really he keeps it there so we can't visually see the throne of God, in my opinion. I think if it wasn't there, and someday God will remove it, or maybe we'll get smart and the people that need to surrender to God will fully surrender, and then God will say, oh, my people want my kingdom now, and then he will remove the Prince of Darkness, and then you would fully see the expanse of heaven. So Hubbard claimed he wanted to use these enclosures, though, to protect people from electronic implants. But he was also using similar isolation tactics to control his followers. Yeah, you see how it's the same, the CIA controlling people, but so is Scientology. It's both mind control. CIA and L. Ron Hubbard, mind control. Just acting like they're doing it CIA doesn't act like they're doing it for good reasons or back when they were doing it. However, L. Ron Hubbard trying to bring it on the heels. You can control. It's that he was just the old Tony Robbins type, okay? Or Joe Dispenza. There's a ton of them. And this is Scientology's cross. Yeah, it says everything, doesn't it? Just looks like a whole bunch of spears. It's the church of the CIA, in my opinion.